I do have a rant dressed up as a question. Why is it white people, no, really, white artists get to illustrate white looking people in their tarot decks, and no one is ever like, oh, why did you draw yourself into your own tarot deck? If you're an artist who happens to be a brunette with green eyes and you happen to draw a brunette with green eyes into your tarot deck, people rarely accuse you of drawing yourself into your own deck. Not to mention, my tarot deck is black and white, so I don't even know how you can tell. An Asian female illustrates one or two Asian females into her own tarot deck, and all of a sudden the internet wants to know why I'm so egotistical as to illustrate my own image onto the cards. First, I didn't. There are human-like figures that look kind of like Asian females, but that doesn't mean it's me, just because I'm also an Asian female. And some beneficent spirits appear to me as Asian female goddesses, kind of the way gods and goddesses appear to you in your own ethnic likeness. It's not me, it's a goddess that is of the same ethnicity and gender as me. Nitwit. I am also not sure what image exactly people are referring to. If it's Key Zero, the keeper, then I've already talked about that in a million different places. It's my mom, and she's the spirit keeper because of what she does, who she is, what she practices, what I've learned from her. I am who I am because of her. And the few other Asian females depicted in the cards, none of them are me. I assure you none of them are me. They are just depictions of Asian females. If you think it's me, I'd ask you to check yourself and figure out what is it about your exposure or lack thereof to ethnic diversity that makes you think all depictions of Asian women look alike. And that is all. Back to regularly scheduled programming. There were a couple other topics I kind of wanted to explore further with videos, but I am going to wrap up here. I think there's plenty to work with up to this point, especially with the book and the deck. To return to deck creator intentions, though, I did want to offer some starter insights into pathworking and astral journeying with the tarot. Pathworking is essentially a conceptual exercise, a thought experiment that you need to navigate with your imagination. You pathwork through a metaphysical conceptual diagram like the Kabbalistic Tree of Life and the Four Worlds, or the I Ching hexagrams and the Ba Gua 8 trigrams. Astral travel or astral journeying begins with the presumption that there is an astral dimension or astral plane that's inextricable from the physical material world. We covered this a bit in video 13, Ritual Magic and Tarot. The premise of astral travel is that it actually exists in a manner of speaking, that there is a reality to it. Man, loaded words, am I right? Let's try again. At its most basic, let's take your home, for instance. There's the physical building in this material world that you can see, feel, hear, touch, that you can perceive through your physical senses. Astral journeying operates on the presumption that your house, as it stands in the physical material world, also exists on an astral plane, a non-physical astral world. My astral body can journey through the astral plane to where your house exists on that astral plane, and the objective of doing so is such an astral journey could potentially create the changes I seek in its corresponding physical material world. Expanding on that magical theory, you can transfer your mind from your physical body to your astral body, and then mind in astral body, astral journey to the astral realms of other worlds. That can be underworlds or other worlds entirely for those who believe in a multi-universe reality, or it can be the astral realms of figurative or proverbial heaven and hell. Let me see if, as an instructor, I can better explain the differentiation between pathworking and astral journeying with a box. This box, the actual materials it's made out of, this cardboard and printed ink, right, consists of chemical properties. I'm not a scientist, but like you and I both understand on some very basic level that you can diagram the atoms and elements for this box, right? Kind of like how water is H2O. There's a chemical structure that is a reality, but it's also a conceptual design. Pathworking is sending your mind, and some occultists would probably also theorize your astral body through that conceptual design. It's a way of processing the chemical or alchemical structure of reality. It's an abstract mental exercise and involves pictorializing the chemical or alchemical structure, much like how you draw out the atoms for H2O to illustrate and diagram water. Astral travel is first assuming that not only is there this physical box that you see in my hand, but this physical box has a non-physical counterpart in an astral realm. The full existence of this box is both the material that you perceive through your physical senses and the intangible aspect of it that you can only perceive through your psychic senses or astral body, astral senses. So, astral journeying is transferring your mind and senses into your astral body, and then through your astral body, accessing the astral realm that is the counterpart to what exists in the material world. Exists is then interpreted rather loosely and is going to depend on religious beliefs. So, for instance, if per your religious faith, heaven and hell exist, then under that theoretical presumption, you can astral journey to heaven or hell, because within the religious construct, heaven isn't a conceptual design, it's a form of reality. Instead of making a whole separate video on the topic, I figured I can just touch briefly on it in this concluding video because they're rather significant concepts when it comes to the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. I conceived of the deck through Pathworking and Astral Journeying. As for the video series, I really hope those of you working with the Spirit Keeper's Tarot will initiate discussions and leave your feedback in the comments sections of the videos. I will read every single comment, and I'm going to try very hard to reply to as many as I can, but just a heads up, usually I'll batch comment, meaning not check anything for a week, and then only at the end of the week, on a weekend, sit down and read everything and reply then. Those who have the deck and book set and who are earnestly trying to work through the system and have questions will be the priority in terms of my attention. If you're a smartass who doesn't even own a copy of the deck, quite obviously think my artwork is shit and are here just to be a smartass, yeah, don't expect quality answers from me. The videos in this series were intended to cover the main objectives of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. So again, it's not so much a this is how you tarot course and more of an outline of deck creator intentions. I jump from discussions about conversing with angels or beneficent spirits to a discussion about the Kundalini awakening, accessing Akashic records, and ritual magic. None of it is random. In fact, all of it reduced down to the same common denominator. I'm basically talking about the same thing over the course of multiple videos with different topic headings. It's an ideological spiral meandering toward the center. This video course is made publicly accessible for a couple of reasons. First, it really isn't all that useful, I don't think, or at least you can't make the most out of the series without a physical copy of the Spirit Keeper's Tarot and the Book of Maps, which means you would have purchased the deck and book set. Less than 10 people out of everyone who bought the 1,000 decks opted out of buying the deck and book set, which means pretty much everyone with this deck has this book, and so are qualified to receive this online course as noted in the original marketing copy. In other words, I would be sending this online course to almost all of you purchasers of the deck anyway. By making it publicly accessible, it's so much easier for you to watch the videos anytime, anywhere. Now, my selfish reasons for making it publicly accessible is I hope those of you who don't have a copy of the deck can now see fully how much thought and love and care I've put into this deck, and maybe that will convince you to buy a copy of the second edition when it comes out in 2019. Okay, now about the second edition. I've already got some initial thoughts I want to incorporate. Definitely I Ching hexagram correspondences in some way onto the cards. I just haven't figured out design and layout because so far nothing I can come up with looks good. So while I've got the correspondences down and I know exactly the direction I want to go in, it's the superficial aesthetics I'm stuck on. There are also a handful of cards I want to redesign, like totally from scratch. I want to go back to the ceremonial drawing board, reconsecrate and empower space, and just do the whole ritual thing again, but now with a certain set of cards in mind. Finally, the card back design will change. I'm also going to rethink the box, but probably not by much. I already put a ton of thought into the box design during the first go around, and every bit of this is so intentional. I'm not sure what part of the box I can change, you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'll rewrite the book of maps. I don't have any conscious intention of doing that, but I do know myself. So here's the thing. If I'm really going to return to that mental space of creating this tarot deck and I document, write, journal, and put down in writing so much of my process while I'm doing it, that's just inevitably going to morph itself into a book, or at least chapters of a book. You know what I mean? Also, I think I should mention, and this is not a false alarm, I can all but guarantee you the redesigned edition we're going to release in 2019 is going to be the last production run for a very, very long time. Meaning maybe we will do a 5-year anniversary run or a 10-year anniversary run, something like that, way into the future, but we are not going to keep the sales up and running. It's the 2019 redesigned edition, and then it's going to be done and tucked away for at least several years. One final note, there is a closed Facebook group for those working with the Spirit Keepers Tarot deck. I'm not running the group and I'm not directly affiliated with it in any way, but I am a member of the group, so I'll try to jump in wherever I can to answer questions if there are any. I would recommend joining the group, mainly because it seems pretty active and everyone in there is super friendly, really supportive, and help each other out in big ways. It goes beyond just the SKT deck and does really get into supporting one another and conversing on some of the esoteric and occult functions of the tarot. I'll provide a link to the Facebook group in the description box so you can apply to join if you want. I really hope this video series can in some little way give you the insights that you need to get started with the Spirit Keepers Tarot and the Book of